Looking for the perfect spot to unwind with friends and family? El Patrillo Mexican Restaurant is calling your name. With locations in Flowood and Cross Gates, Brandon, El Patrillo is the cozy, family-owned gym where great food meets great times. Enjoy El Patrillo's signature margaritas and happy hour specials that keep their customers coming back for more. Indulge in their authentic Mexican dishes prepared with love and served in a warm, family-friendly atmosphere. Come to El Patrillo and taste the traditions. El Patrillo, where family, flavor, and fun come together. Boom, shaka, laka, boom. You've tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. And boy, we got some reality to club you upside the head with this morning. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. I am live here in the buyfafo.com studios. Studio sponsorship is still available for anybody out there looking to expand their brand. The number one morning talk show here in all of central Mississippi, as well as one of the most downloaded podcasts in the state of Mississippi. And, of course, we are more than just a radio show. We are an online entity as well. We're streaming live. Clay 4K. That's right, in 4K. On YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X at SaveJXN. I believe we're also streaming on Shaun Yurtkuran's Facebook page. If not,
I better start that up.
If not, we
Thank
will
you for
be.
reminding me.
Yeah. It should automatically do it. I thought.
Yeah.
Once you said
What's
it.
a click thing? Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, with all that said, we got Shaun Yurtkuran in the studio. Today's the big day, guys. Something I've been waiting on for not just last week when we scheduled it, but for pushing 2 years now, if not longer. We got Anthony Fox and Desmond Barney here in the studios with us. Former JPD officers. Who became pawns in a political game, in my opinion, and current Clinton police officers. Anthony Fox, detective, right?
Yes, sir.
Desmond, what's your
Patrol?
Let's do this because of this microphone. Let's start with Anthony. Anthony, pull it in front of you, and then whenever we'll push it back and forth because working in the middle, I don't think it's going to work for us.
Gotcha.
All right, cool. We are one mic shy of a full studio here. Hey, look, man, we're on WYAB 103.9. Of course, we're also streaming at WYAB.com as well as the TuneIn app. If you miss any of this, you can go back and watch it on video at any of those aforementioned platforms. And, of course, the audio-only podcast is always available on Apple, iTunes. Well, I guess Apple and iTunes is the same thing. It's not called iTunes anymore. It's still Apple Podcast, right?
I think so, right?
Apple.
Well, that's so 06, right?
It's the purple podcast button on your iPhone. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course we're on Spotify and everywhere else you can download podcasts. All right, we got all that out of the way. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. 769-241-1944. The Mazda. We're not going to take any calls right now, but I want to make sure we plug Mazda Jackson. The Mazda of Jackson phone line is 601-879-0002. We'll tell you a little bit more about them throughout the show today since we're not going to be mentioning the phone line a whole lot. If you guys if you got any questions for Anthony or Desmond or myself or Shaun for that matter, the text line or the comment section on social media is going to be the way to go today. Like I said, just don't want to get bogged down with telephone calls when we got 4 people in the studio. With that said, y'all know we've been fighting this fight. Borrow my buddy Jameson's tagline here, the good fight. We've been fighting the good fight with these guys, and especially with Anthony because he was in jail for as long as I've been on radio. It feels like it's been going on for I've been on for February, it'll be 4 years, and this happened in 2019. 2019. You know, I met you guys. We were talking outside because I was loosely familiar with it. I kind of evolved into all this. You know, I didn't wake up one day and say I was going to be Save Jackson or any of this. I had no idea. It was like one thing led to another. And so I started paying more attention to what was going on in Jackson. And I had the Save Jackson Facebook page, just posting pictures of empty buildings and videos and all that stuff. And that about 19 when that happened. And I met Polo. He was doing kind of more what I'm doing now. He was a little bit more incendiary, if that's possible. But
well, apparently he is.
Yes,
you know, apparently he definitely is.
We're going to talk about Polo some today, but we're going to separate what he's got himself into now from what he was doing because he was doing some good work.
Absolutely.
You know, and I heard you bring him up on Teresa's podcast, but I met you guys at Martin's one day. Funny, all roads lead back to Martin's, don't they? Yeah. I know you had your celebration lunch there.
Oh, yes,
after you settled up your business and stuff. So it all roads lead back to Martin. I met you two guys out there at Martin's with Polo, and he had introduced me to you, and just always told y'all then I got your back, and man, I know we've had your damn back.
Yes.
And I posted a picture of you and I last night that was taken in the Madison County Jail. You were wearing a Fafo shirt.
The day I got out. Yep.
Was that the day you got out?
Uh-huh.
That was the day you got out. I couldn't remember, but to go from that to where we're at now, man, full circle, so to say. Yeah. I'm happy for you guys.
Thank you.
And I really am. Shaun, we got some. What am I hearing?
I don't know what you're hearing there. I mean, my thing's off. I don't have any sound on. Huh.
Okay.
Let me click it's a restream or something. All right, is that off now?
No, but we'll deal with it.
From?
I'm hearing us coming through somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. It's not through my phones are all silent.
All right. Either way, so it's been a long road. I'm trying to figure out where do we want to start with this, man. It's so much, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna take it personal here at some point today, and I'm going to quote Polo. I'm gonna come down some rows with Jody and Chokwe. Let's start there. How about that? Let's start with. You know how some movies will start at the end, and then they work their way to the beginning.
Yeah.
You may ask yourself, how did I end up in this situation?
Right.
You smoking a cigar out in front of the federal building as Jody and Chokwe and the Free the Land Mafia, as I call them, are being, as much of a perp walk as we're going to get out of them.
Yeah.
What does that feel like for you guys, man?
Well, again, we just so happened to be in the area. Saw some familiar faces outside and decided to stop and say hello.
Just happened to be there.
Just happened.
Just a coincidence.
Just a major coincidence.
That's where we were. Basically, we were there too. We were right there. Everybody was.
Matter of fact, I saw you guys.
Yeah.
And decided to get out and just say hey for a minute, and we pretty much chopped it up for a while and felt it was necessary to go ahead and leave after, we didn't. Had the opportunity to see who we needed to see. So.
Well, there's a famous picture. I assume Kingfish took it. I don't know. Did he take it?
Yeah, he did.
I figured he did. Is you smoking a cigar?
Yep.
Desmond, were you there?
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't see you there. But it's a picture of you smoking a cigar, man. It's just karma.
Yeah.
It's all you can think of is God moves at a different speed than
Yes,
we won't sometimes. And I know nobody wishes for the downfall of another man.
Yep.
I mean, if you are, you're just a hater.
Right.
And let God handle it. You'll get to sit back and enjoy your cigar.
That's right.
Every now and then on God's time.
That's right.
And that's what I saw there was, you saw a guy that vindication.
Yep.
I can't think of a better word because I said the same thing about myself on a much lower level because I've sat here screaming this for the last 4 years, been called a racist up and down and every other name in the book because I was trying to point out. I thought I was just telling people the sky was blue and water was wet.
Right.
I didn't think that. I thought everybody knew these fools were corrupt. Allegedly, of course.
Well, according to the federal indictment, if you believe that,
yeah,
you can say that. Yeah, right. Then they are. Yes.
Yeah, according to the feds,
and the wiretaps that they recorded them on and video, by the way.
Yes,
right.
Been screaming that for 4 years, but it's just like it had to be vindication.
It was
just like anybody who thought that was maybe still holding on, that thought you guys got away with something, that thought the Republicans of the state stepped in to save a cop, or which they did, thank God, but they thought it was more political.
Right.
For you, the opposite. They thought it was you getting out was a political play for them.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I heard some people say, "Oh, they're just trying to do that because it's about to be election season. They're trying to pander to people who back the blue and all that stuff." I heard it all.
Right.
I was like, well, I thought it was the other way around. I thought it was mighty timely that a bunch of folks getting ready to run for re-election cycle, and everybody at that time, because that happened in 19.
Mm-hmm.
But when did the charges, like when did you find out you were going to have to go fight for your freedom?
The day we got, what was that date? The date, I'm going to give it to you verbatim. I don't want to.
It's like 2020 in April, maybe. So about almost a year, 19 months after, I want to say.
Yeah, and Fox, I actually listened to you on Teresa's podcast this weekend. You had said something. You met with my old bosses, Robert Schuler Smith, who I worked for about 10 years, and you met with him in 2019. Is that right?
It was during their trial, so it was around 2020, and we met him outside of Hinds County Courthouse
back in 2019, before Jody Owens, when he was still DA.
Right, he had just got in, And
oh, you talking about Jody?
Jody,
okay.
yeah, right.
But I think you mentioned you'd met with Robert Smith prior when he was still in office. Because when this happened, Robert Smith was still the DA, right?
No, he was running for something else at the time.
But he was still district attorney, I think. That
right.
year,
Yeah. When the incident happened,
yeah.
right. He was district attorney, and we met him outside Hinds County Courthouse around 2020.
Okay.
And when he heard that we were indicted, he said, man, his only question was why and how. He told us that he reviewed the case himself, and he was not going to go forward with it because there was no case to go forward with.
And that was new information for me last night when I listened to Teresa's podcast with you. I was not aware of that timeline that Schuler had said he wasn't going to do it. That just it was either Fred Shanks or Shaun that I told. I said, man, I came out of this more pissed off than I went into it, and I thought I already knew everything.
I didn't know about that either. I listened to it, and I was like, that's it. And I know Robert very well, so I was surprised. I was like, wow, you're doing the right thing, Robert.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was shocked about that. But.
So we were indicted August the 4th of 2020.
Okay, so that matches my timeline up perfect here because I've been saying that everybody they wanted a Jacktown George Floyd.
That's like 3 months after it.
It was 3 months after.
Absolutely.
It was politically advantageous to arrest a cop for killing a black man at that point. I'm just going to be blunt about it.
Absolutely.
That was the temperature in the room had changed, and it was the summer of 2020. It was this big anti-cop movement rushing through the country, especially in urban cities like Jackson, Atlanta, so on and so forth.
Right.
And I believe that you got caught up in a perfect storm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of what I believe was them trying to get you out of their business, and I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit. And of course, the George Floyd stuff, and of course they literally got a Jacktown George,
which I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense because if it's August of 2020, this happened in January 13th of 2019.
Yes,
I mean that's over a year and a half later. Why now? Working in the DA's office as long as I did. Not in Hinds County, things do tend to move slower because there's the amount of cases, right? But you would have an indictment on something like that within 3 to 6 months if it was something that you were going to pursue seriously. I know that when we were in office, we would have got that case. Everybody would have reviewed it, and what I guess he could have done was presented the grand jury and no bill it back in 2019. That would have probably been the procedure to do it at that. I don't know why. Obviously he's not here anymore. So, but that would seem to me that would have kind of been your all saving grace if they'd just gone ahead and done that. And we used to do that. Well, all officer involved shootings, we'd take it to the grand jury and no bill them. Obviously if they were not justified, whatever. And so that would have been a better procedure, I think.
Those were the questions that we were asking. Like, okay, if it's just sitting on the desk, why don't we go ahead and present it, and let the grand jury hear the facts of the case and get it no bill. Why that didn't happen, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Their excuse was the coroner's, not the coroner's report, but the autopsy.
Because the autopsies were after
the autopsy took 19 months to come out before they decided that how they was going to rule it and that they was complete with the autopsy.
And that's what was going on, I guess, at the medical examiner's office for the last 5 to 7 years. I know has been pretty backed up with. There's been issues there. I think you could have still no-billed it though, even with. I mean, you're not.
Yes.
But I mean, you could still done it. I think just look based upon the facts on it. I'm surprised that they didn't do that. And also, I mean, as we know, with any grand jury, once that Jody Owens got in 2020, you can make the grand jury do whatever you want them to do. I mean, y'all been in grand juries before. Absolutely. I know for the general public, it's kind of a secret, what goes on there, but. You go in there and say, hey, we need y'all to indict this person, then that's what happens 95% of the time.
When you look at the autopsy, the original autopsy was a Davis.
Brent Davis,
From his notes, like the last time he might have even dealt with the body was somewhere around February, the month after the incident happened. So nobody else even, deal with anything else within those 19 months. It was just he did his part, and then the next guy that come in was Levon.
Who just interpreted the results.
He just interpreted the results. And it took him 17 months just to do that. So
and with Brent Davis, the actual medical examiner who physically saw Robinson's body, put his hands on and performed the autopsy, he said that he looked for injuries to the body.
Right.
He looked for bruises. He looked for cuts. He looked for anything that could possibly tie it back to him being assaulted. And he said from head to toe, the only injuries that he saw was those small
abrasions on his head. Yeah.
That
it was like 3 small abrasions. I think
it was one when we saw
one, and then it was,
and then
yeah. I mean, because when I read that, and I know we'll probably get more in depth in this throughout the show, but the physical injuries didn't match up the witness testimony.
No, not at all.
Pretty clear that's the medical testimony for everybody who's listening. The medical testimony did not back up what these 2 witnesses said they saw.
Exactly.
And some of the injuries may have been caused by the actual cranial, whatever you call it, craniotomy that they did that weren't even, it wasn't even related to what the incident with the all.
Exactly.
And I think, and I'm sure Clay's and I'm going to ask this question, but the crux of this thing, I think, was, if the medical testimony doesn't back up what 2 witnesses who were obviously lying said, then that's the case to me right there. That's the entire case.
One or both you had arrested previously?
Yeah.
Sent to prison?
Yeah. Federal prison.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
We kind of jumped into this. I wanted to just kind of lay it out a little bit for people. Let's take a break. When we come back, let's start at the beginning of that day.
Okay.
I mean, I know you've done a couple other shows and stuff, but we're going to pretend people ain't listening to those.
Let's do it.
Let's start at the beginning. Bring everybody up to speed. Because I got a lot I want to unpack. We got 2 hours to do it. We're gonna talk online. If you guys got any questions, you want to ask them anything, follow us watch it on social media, YouTube, Facebook, X, Rumble. If you want to ask questions, Facebook, YouTube, those are the ones that cycle through my comments that I can see. I'll answer those. Text us on the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. We've got Anthony Fox. We got Desmond Barney. It's the tell-all interview that everybody's been waiting on, myself included. For 2+ years, 4 years, honestly. So we got him here in studio this morning. We're going to rattle some cages. I'm going to ask. I told you I was going to ask him if he thinks. I don't want to answer right now, but we're going to get to this. Do you think you got locked up because Chokwe running too close to the fire, and they had to make you go away? Because I think that's what happened. Anyway, we're going to get to that and more. Text a friend, text a neighbor, share it wherever you're watching it. Let's let the world hear the truth this morning. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here on 103.9 FM WYAB, streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB. Also, we're in 4K video, Facebook, YouTube, X, and Rumble at SaveJX. And if you're watching on video, I'm trying to squeeze all 3 of these guys into one shot here. I'm not having a good time doing it. So you're gonna get Fox and Shaun in a scene. Then you're gonna get Fox and Desmond in a scene. So I'm working. I'm trying to give everybody equal FaceTime here, and I've got one whole side to myself, but that's just the way the ball bounces sometimes. So it helps I cut the microphones back on, too. Hey, look, I'm going to ask for a little grace from my sponsors this morning, guys. We got these guys here in the studio. We got a lot we want to talk about. We're just going to give quick little plugs here. Men's Health in Mississippi, get your complimentary testosterone injections today. Not injections, I'm sorry, your complimentary testosterone screenings today. If you're suffering from fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, or sleep disturbances, or lack of that morning wood, you, in fact, could be suffering from low testosterone. Get out there, get your levels checked today, and let's get you back on track. And what's the old saying? Happy wife, happy life. The morning wood comes back, you're going to have a happy, happy wife. Thank me later. The holidays are coming up. All right, that's Men's Health in Mississippi. Again, text my name, Clay, to 601. Let me pull the dang number back up. I knocked it off the screen. Text my name, Clay, to 601-327-8550. 601-327-8550. We ought to change the text word to wood. Wood. Anyway. But, yeah, and nobody said we were the most appropriate radio show.
Right.
Nobody said, I didn't make any promises like that. We don't mislead. Anyway, guys, I'm friends with these guys too, so y'all give us a little grace this morning. We like to have fun. Look, I got Anthony Fox, Desmond Barney, Shaun Yurtkuran here in the studio. I wanted Shaun to be a part of this because he spent 10 years in that very office that prosecuted you guys.
Right.
Obviously didn't overlap. He wasn't there when any of this.
Yeah, I had nothing to do with this. That's I'll let you know. No.
But I thought his experience in that office would bring something because all the guys you got, all the interviews you guys have been doing, everybody brings a little something different to it.
Right.
You know, like Therese, she was in the courtroom. She's a personal friend. I thought, you know, her thing is very personal.
Right.
You know, mine's personal, but mine's the city of Jackson.
Right.
They're holding these people accountable for what they did to you. And Shaun's is the experience in that and knowing how that machine works.
Right.
So I think we all bring a little something different. That's why I always tell everybody support independent media.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. With that said, let's start at the beginning, man. You told this, and this is where y'all want to start. Great. And Desmond, please chime in anytime. You were in church.
I was in church
on a Sunday, right?
Yes, sir.
And you get a text basically from your unit that, hey, a preacher had been shot and killed or something along those lines.
Right.
Let's pick up there.
Okay, so
This is Anthony Fox, by the way.
So January the 13th, 2019, we were sitting in church, giving honor to the man upstairs, and we received a SWAT activation to meet at a specific location. So at that time, I took my family, my wife, my 2 kids, took them to the house, and proceeded to this meet location. We were briefed that a pastor was opening the doors of his church, and a couple of guys decided they wanted his truck. So they executed him.
I remember when this happened.
Oh yeah, and it was in the same area that our situation took place in.
Yeah, Pastor
Washington,
Longino, that whole thing, right?
Anthony
Yeah, that was big.
Longino. Yep. So as he was opening the doors to his church, he was executed, and his vehicle was taken. Well, that's a severe enough crime to where SWAT needs to be activated.
That's capital murder.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. So due to the severity of the crimes, you know, we were activated. We received a text, dropped my family off, and went to the meet location. Our SWAT commander at the time sent me, Desmond, and Lincoln to get eyes on the residents so we can, you know, gather intel and send it back. So we did that, you know, and we waited till other units arrived. They got the mobile command center there. We drafted a plan, and we executed that plan. So search warrant led to a bunch of people coming out the house, detaining them, sending them down to robbery, homicide. I guess whatever information they got from the people that came out the residence led to another search warrant in the Washington, D.C. area. We gathered another game plan, left this location on Pecan Boulevard. We proceeded to Jones Avenue to execute the second search warrant. We do that, and same like the first, there was multiple people inside. We detained all of them, sent them to robbery, homicide, and at this time it's getting late in the evening. Keep in mind, we've been at it since early that morning, so we tired, we hungry, so we stop at Piccadilly's to grab something to eat while we wait on further instructions. Well, I had a confidential informant to call me, and that confidential informant told me that, man, Fox, the guys y'all looking for who killed the pastor is on such and such block, Jones Avenue and Washington Avenue. So they kind of gave me the description of the house and the block, how the gate was around the house and everything like that. So when I got that information, I called the SWAT commander and relayed it to him. And I asked him, you know, here's what I just got, what you want us to do? And he said, well, rattle up the guys and let's go. So we proceeded to that location. We went down Highway 80. We turned on Valley Street. Once we turned on Valley Street, Jones Street came up, and we made that hard left. As soon as we turned on the street, man, there was people everywhere. I mean, it was barbecuing on the right side, people walking on the left side, everybody out just in the neighborhood, you know, a normal.
Still Sunday, right?
Yeah, still Sunday.
Sunday. About
right.
what time?
At this time, it's about, 6:37, something like that. Yeah, it's getting it's dark at this time.
Yeah.
So Barney comes over the radio and say, you know, let's talk to these guys over here. So of course we pull over, and keep in mind we still in that same block where I received the information of where the murderer was at. So we pull over. Detective Barney exits his car, goes one way. Detective Lampley was in the vehicle with me.
Y'all in undercover vehicles?
Yeah. I got a Tahoe He was in Explorer, and then we had several marked units behind us.
So most people in the streets know. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like marked or unmarked.
Right.
I mean, it was obvious
yeah.
y'all was the police.
Well, as soon as we pulled on the street, it was testimony that somebody said, "Heads up."
Yeah. And
yeah.
That's
Tony
what,
Bolton.
and where you're going with this, not stepping on your toes, but where you're going with this, it just shows the lack of respect a lot of folks in the city have for the police that we ended up in this situation.
Exactly.
Of what you're about to tell y'all witness. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you good. So after the people outside said heads up, you could tell, they kind of started scattering or whatnot. So when we started to go our separate ways, my main focus was straight in front of me. You got a detective that went to the left. You got a detective that went to the right. All right, my focus is straight ahead. I see a woman at the driver's door of a white Impala that's really obstructing traffic, really, parked in the middle of the roadway. Well, it was on the side, but, still obstructing the flow of traffic. So I see her stick her hand inside the driver's side window. She had money inside her hand. I got a tie hole, so it sits up high. When my lights illuminated the vehicle, her, everything else, so I'm able to see great.
Yeah.
She sticks her hand inside of the vehicle with money in her hand. When she turns around and sees us, she looks, and she pulls her hand back out of the window, still clutching the money.
It's about dope.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Due to my training and experience from narcotics world, because I've been narcotics K9 for 13 years.
Yeah.
So due to my training and experience, I see what I believe to be a hand-to-hand transaction.
Right in front of y'all.
Right in front of us. So when she pulls her hand out of the vehicle after she noticed us, money still in hand, she quickly walks off. I'm like, hold on one second. Where you going? Stop. She ain't hear none of that.
No.
None of that. So she walks in front of the Impala, and she kind of disappears off into the night, as she walks into the yard on the right side of the vehicle. So at this time, I'm at the trunk area. He has no tint on the window, so I can see inside the vehicle, great.
And this is George Robinson.
George Robinson, yeah.
Good. So this is all coincidence that you even intersect with this. And that's usually how it works in life. It's just always this weird confluence of man-moment machine where you just end up intersecting when you had no business really intersecting, and it's led us down this path that got us to where we're at today, this one little...
Yep, absolutely. So... I'm looking inside the vehicle as I'm making a slow approach, and I can see money scattered out on the passenger seat. I can see money on the center console. I can see money in his lap. And when he turns behind him and look out the back driver's side window and sees me like literally right there, he immediately starts reaching in between the seat and console. Now that's a danger zone for any law enforcement officer.
Absolutely.
I can't
10
tell
and 2,
you
10 and 2.
Yeah, exactly. I can't tell you how many weapons we have recovered from that same area. I've been shot at point blank. We all at some point, had a near death experience from that area right there. So
that's where I always kept my peace in other vehicles. My current one, it don't work like that, but that's that spot.
That's the spot. That's right. That's right. So I'm giving them verbal commands outside of the vehicle before I even open the door. I'm like, man, show me your hands. What are you reaching for? Start reaching. Show me your hands. Police, and he's not listening to any verbal commands. So at that time, I open the door. And with my left hand, I grab him in between his bicep and his forearm. And I'm still giving him verbal commands because I'm like, all right, I know I'm kind of in the danger zone, but I don't feel the need to have to really try to get him out now. Right now, I'm alarming everybody else.
Let's hold that spot right there. It's a good stopping point. We're about to get him out of the car.
Okay.
All right, we got to take our break. When we come back, we got Anthony Fox in the middle of a great story. We got Desmond Barney. We got Shaun Yurtkuran. Of course, we got myself, Clay Edwards. We'll be right back in 4 minutes. Don't go anywhere on WYAB. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. Of course, we're streaming worldwide, WYAB.com, Facebook, X, YouTube, Rumble, @SaveJXN. We got myself, Clay Edwards. We got Shaun Yurtkuran, former Hinds County DA, assistant DA, 10-plus years. Shaun, plug the law firm real quick.
Yeah, I represent. I run the Yurtkuran law firm, and I do primarily criminal defense. I've spent the last nearly 20. It's been 19 years. I'll be 20 next year. Doing that's all I've done is criminal work as a prosecutor, now defense attorney. So you give me a call this holiday season. Don't drink and drive, but if you do, give me a call 601-906-9094.
All right, Shaun, if people end up in a situation like these two fellows ended up in, Shaun's a phone call you need to make, by the way.
Yeah.
With that said, Anthony Fox, current Clinton police officer, Desmond Barney, current Clinton police officer, former JPD officers, sadly, but hey, as life goes. All right, Anthony, let's pick back up where we left off. You were kind of tussling with Robinson to get him out of the car. I say against his will, but he don't get to make that decision. All right, pick up there.
All right, so like I said, open the door. With my left hand, I have him in the crease between his bicep and his forearm, and I'm giving him verbal commands. Step out of the vehicle. What are you reaching for? Stop. Show me your hands. Police. Things of that nature. So he turns while I'm holding him in that area. He turns all the way to the right and begin reaching with both of his hands deep off in between the driver's side seat and the center console. Once he makes that movement, he pulls me halfway inside of the door frame. George Robinson wasn't a little fella. He's about 6'2", 240, 260, something like that.
About my size.
Right. So when he twists his whole body and goes in between the center console and the driver's seat, he pulls me halfway inside of the door frame. At this time, I'm like, it got real. Lincoln Lampley runs over, and he kind of nudges me forward, reaches in, and grab him by his jacket on the right side of him. Once he grabs him there, he pulls him out, and
he gets him from the driver's side, kind of reaches around.
Right,
and gets
reaches
him
around me. That's right, and
okay.
Pulls him out. Ducks his head and pulls him out. So at this time, Mr. Robinson, he got his right hand clutched tight. He has his left over his right, and he's clutching at his midsection. So I'm standing up on the left side of him. Lincoln's on the right side of him. At this time, Desmond hears the commotion, and he's already over. He's watching Overwatch and all that. You could tell he was trying to drop his body weight to the ground while he was still clutched at his midsection.
So was he hurting his midsection or something?
No, he had dope in his hand.
Okay. Did y'all ever find? Was there a gun in the car?
No.
So he was going for the dope. He was getting dope.
Right.
So he had his dope hidden. Okay.
Yeah, it was drugs that was in his hand. So he tries to drop his body weight to get himself to the ground. So the only thing we did was guide him to the ground. There wasn't no body slam. There wasn't no push. There wasn't no toss. We used his own momentum to get where he was trying to go and just guided him down. So when we guided him down, he's flat. He still has his hands underneath him about his midsection area. He's looking to the left while we're trying to separate his hands. It was virtually impossible. Where he got that strength from, I do not know, but we could not pry his hands away from each other. So he's looking this way to the right, and he comes to a half fetal position and kind of meets his hand to his mouth. And you got officers that's standing around watching the whole ordeal, and they was like, he trying to put something in his mouth. He's trying to put something in his mouth.
Trying to digest the dope.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I mean, they got flashlights pointing at us while we're trying to.
What was it? Meth? Was it coke? Crack?
He tested positive for cocaine and marijuana, but he told me it was a tab that he swallowed.
So crack could be cocaine or crack. I
mean, it could be powder.
It ain't gonna test differently.
Right. Yeah. It'll just be cocaine. But once he got his head towards his hand area and his hand reached his mouth, he put the object in his mouth, and then he just stopped resisting. He literally just stopped resisting. So at that time,
get that head ringer.
Well, we cuffed him up. We stood him up, and when we stood him up, he was like, "Man, Fox, man, bro, it's me, killer, man, I'm sorry, bro." He was like, "Man, it was just a tab I swallowed. I ain't want to go back to jail."
And y'all keep in mind his documented nickname that's in the reports and everything.
Yeah.
His street name is Killer.
Yeah.
So just because he killed a man.
Yeah.
Before, went to jail for it.
Right.
So y'all just keep that in the back of your minds as all this unfolds here.
Right. So basically, like I said, he's apologetic. He's like, man, I'm sorry, bro. It was just a tab. I ain't want to go back to jail. He has a ankle monitor on from previous charges that stem from our office, from the narcotics division in Jackson. So he has an ankle monitor on. He's out on probation. And that was his reasoning to me why he swallowed the substance that was in his hand.
Pretty good reason.
Yeah,
if you're got an ankle monitor on,
right.
you probably don't need to be having drugs.
Absolutely.
I mean,
he was scared he was going to be violated. So,
and I mean, for the audience, that's pretty common.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
To see guys on the street with ankle monitors, taking drugs and trying to. Yeah, I mean, that's not something that's unusual.
Right. And it's pretty common for somebody who's either dealing or using when the police comes to try to swallow, destroy the evidence.
Right.
So once we stand him up and we having this dialogue between each other, I can see that he has very small abrasion right there on the right side of his temple almost. And that stemmed from when he was on the ground and he kind of slid his head towards his hand. He was flat on concrete. And those are where those scuff marks came from. Yeah. That's all he had. So
there was never a trauma type.
No, never.
Like a blunt force, anything, anywhere throughout this.
No. I mean, Dr. Levon actually testified, and I got it pulled up in this from the photographs taken during autopsy, there were just 3 separate abrasions, and the way he defined an abrasion is a superficial injury to the skin surface caused by contact with an object. A superficial injury.
It was like your dog scratching you.
Yeah, right.
Road rash.
Yeah,
exactly.
You
Everybody's had one before.
Right.
Yeah.
You skin your knee if you fall off a bike. That was what this was equivalent to.
Mm-hmm.
We got about a minute and a half before we got to take our next break.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we see the superficial abrasions, and at the time we only see one right here. We called AMR per our policy. Once we call AMR, they come out, and when they pulled up, he was like, "What the F they doing here? I don't need AMR. I don't want. Why are they here?" And we was like, "Man, let them look at you."
I mean, prior to that, he was rejecting them.
Yeah. But when we told him we was gonna call,
say that again.
Yeah, even prior to AMR getting there, he was still rejecting, AMR presence to be there. Like I explained, this most time it was Anthony Fox that was telling him, just let them check you out, let them look at you. Even at some points, I was actually telling him, explaining to him the charge he's had and let him know that you're not going to jail whether AMR take you or not. So we just need AMR to check you out. We're going to field release you. So it wasn't like it was a threat either go AMR, go to jail, so he understood that he wasn't going to jail. He was going to get field release.
This is policy. Yes. Let us do what we have to do. We're going to do you a solid and field release you. Because they weren't taking any, y'all couldn't take them to jail at that point, right?
Yeah.
They were doing shoplifting or something like that.
Shoplifting, felonies, and domestics.
All right, hold that thought. We got to take our break. We're going to come back, wind the plane down for the first hour. Then we got a whole other hour to go. We wanted to lay the foundation for you guys to understand how this whole thing unfolded. Then we're going to get to the real meat of this, and that's the trial and how they railroaded Fox. And I want to get Desmond's thoughts on how it felt to see his boy get pulled to the side and have this done while, he kind of got the better end of the deal. I mean, no fault of his own or anything like that, but it's almost like survivor's guilt or something. Anyway, we're going to get into all that and more. Anthony Fox, Desmond Barney, Shaun Yurtkuran. Big show this morning. We'll be right back. All right, guys, y'all stay tuned. I thought we'd be able to chat some during these breaks, but it would just break the show up too much for the radio audience if we do that. So if you got any questions, drop them in the comments. Somebody asked me my email. It's clay@wyab.com, clay@wyab.com. So y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, radio audience, y'all be sure to stay tuned. During the top of the hour break, we're going to give y'all some information we ain't going to give the radio folks. So y'all going to enjoy this. Stay tuned. We're going to tell you some stuff that the media ain't told you about. So y'all don't go nowhere, I promise. We're going to make it worth your while today. All right, welcome back in. We got 40 seconds to the top of the hour break. I'm going to let Fox pick back up where he left off. AMR shows up to the scene. And what happens then, Fox?
got a lapse.
Oh, sorry. There you go. We're back, Fox.
All right. So AMR looks at him, and they describe the superficial injury as minor enough for them to put a 4x4 folded twice over it. And at that time, we cut him a free release, and he, on his own willpower, walked off, opened his door, got inside his vehicle, drove off. When he drove off, there wasn't any swerving, there wasn't anything of that nature. And as he walked to the car, he turned around and said, "Man, Fox, man, again, bro, my bad." You know, at that time he went to the hotel room.
You take the headphones off. We're live, but all right, internet, y'all are getting something that the radio folks ain't getting. All right.
So yeah, through the ankle monitor, the reports that we gathered, it showed that he went.
That's right. Yes, you could track the monitor.
Yeah, exactly. We tracked his movement.
This is after the AMR. This is after y'all's whole situation.
So,
y'all field released him.
Right.
He clearly didn't die in the street right there after this. This was not a George Floyd type situation where this man was murdered in the streets by the police. Nothing like that.
Not at all. So
I just want to clear the air there because there was the DA side, and they painted this big picture. The attorneys for the family, everybody painted this big picture that this man was just murdered in the streets, just brutally killed by a couple of evil police officers. And again, if you're tuning in late here, this happened in January of 19. It's August of 2020 when these guys got indicted, just months after George Floyd, when it was very politically advantageous. And I'm recapping this because we got a bunch of people that weren't in on the first part of the show. Right. You got to keep in mind, you got to take yourself back to the summer of 2020 and what all was going on in the country at that point. It was very trendy to say all cops were bastards and defunding the police and arrest. It doesn't matter what a dude does to you if the cops can't kill him. Just all that. So I just want to set the temperature in the room and the way they tried to paint this thing when it was nothing like that.
Right.
All right. I'm sorry. So y'all were tracking him after the incident.
The tracking is basically from court.
I'm sorry. Y'all weren't tracking him.
So
like that because there was no need to.
We were able to go back and verify once we figure out all the charges. So we were able to go back and verify that that's where he went to. So
good point. Good point. Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, I get sidetracked sometimes. But so I'm gonna go back just a little bit.
Yeah,
I want to set the temperature. If we had just beaten a guy, as the DA office tried to make it seem, and those other attorneys for the family tried to make it seem, there was no outrage. Everybody had their cell phones out. So tell me why none of the footage of this so-called assault didn't surface. On top of that, if I just beat up your best friend, are you going to offer me a hamburger off the grill?
No.
Okay, well.
Well, it depends on which one.
Well, the state's main witness came to all of us. Now, this is matter of fact, he was still standing there with handcuffs on. And Ronnie Arnold.
And died as quick as you can.
Okay. So it was actually video of him going back into the hotel room. It was video of him pulling up in his car. It was video of him getting out the car on his own wheel. Not delusional, not, incoherent or anything like that, getting out the car, perfectly fine and healthy. Actually, his hood or something was damaged in his car. He pounced on top of the hood, to close his hood. Obviously not the action. Somebody just had a stroke. Knock on the door, go inside the hotel room. Then the time he was in the hotel rooms could have been an hour, could have been more. You got several people coming in and out the hotel room. You got
presumably buying dope.
Yeah. And this after the encounter with us. And again, it kind of seemed like a lot of times when he's leaving the scene that I think they were trying to make it seem like he was forcibly. He wasn't forcibly. We was
advised that he was field released and that he's no longer in our custody.
Yeah.
You know, so it ain't like we said go home. We didn't say go home, go to party, you know, go to daycare. We just said, you know, you're field released. You're no longer in our custody. Free to do whatever you want to do. You can go back in the party, get you some hamburgers off the grill.
How much longer did was there a medical emergency?
When his medical emergency actually come, it had to be 2 hours, 3 hours after the encounter with us. This one he was encountered with several other people throughout the.
Hold that thought. The intro's playing. We're about to come back live on radio. Welcome back in. It is hour 2 of the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB 103.9 FM here in Central Mississippi. Here in the studio with me this morning, we've got Anthony Fox, Desmond Barney, and Shaun Yurtkuran. We are peeling back the onion of what happened in the George Robinson case that shook this city and, what, in my opinion, one of JPD's darkest hours, or the city of Jackson's darkest hours in the aftermath, and how these police were treated. If you missed any of this, the podcast will be available as soon as the show is over. You can go back, start the video over wherever you're watching it at, and hear the whole story. During the break, we were talking online, and Desmond was painting the picture and kind of trying to clean it up a little bit of the timeline of their altercation, or I don't even want to call it altercation, but for the lack of a better word, their incident with Mr. Robinson and when he died and what all happened in the aftermath. And, you know, if you think about it, if what the prosecutors or prosecution had said was true, none of this other stuff could have taken place. I mean, the man's, you know, he's shacked up at a hotel. And for people who don't understand the way things work in a city like Jackson and the hood, a lot of these guys, you know, kind of live in these rent by the hour, rent by the day hotels. We ain't talking about the Hyatt here. We ain't talking about the King Edward type stuff. I just want to, when we say hotel, you know, we ain't talking about like the Red Roof Inn. You know, we're talking about the Crown. You know,
the old Terrymore. That's what I always think of.
The Mustang.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about some of these just rat infested places. When I say rat, I ain't talking about bugs and whatnot either. I'm talking about hood rats.
Yeah.
These are the prostitutes, drugs. I mean,
stuff,
it's a whole nother world that a lot of people just don't understand out here in the streets. And so this man's living at a hotel. He's presumably selling dope in and out of the hotel. He's jumping up and down on the hood of his car. He's just living his life. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, with 2 to 3 hours after this and all that, he did all that in the 2 to 3 hours between the altercation and his death. And he had a stroke. Mm-hmm. And this is, you just swallowed some dope.
I mean, he tested positive for cocaine too in the toxicology, right?
Yes, he did.
You know, so he just swallowed some dope in this wrestling match with the guys. And I'm just going to tell you, as a guy that's done dope, you know, that does bad things to your nervous system. It does bad things to your heart. It's very likely, you know, especially you've been running hard a long time. You got a lot of wear and tear on your internal organs.
62 years old. You know?
62 years old. You know, ain't lived his best life. Every now and then, it's very likely that it's going to have some negative side effects. It's going to catch up with you, and it sounds to me like it would have caught up with him about that same time. I know irregardless ain't a word, but irregardless of what had happened with you guys.
Yeah.
So that's just my thoughts and opinions on that. So we kind of put a button on the incident itself there. I think everybody kind of understands what did or didn't happen.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else you guys want to add to that, I think we should move to the indictment and the witch hunt, the trial, and that's where I really want to get Shaun's intake on all of this stuff. So it's August of 2020. You guys are actually up in like North Mississippi or somewhere, bringing back some new patrol cars or something. You're eating at a Golden Corral or somewhere like that.
What was it, one of them steakhouses?
Yeah, Outback or Lone Star, something like that. You're eating dinner and you get a
quickly kind of paint a picture of that.
Grab the mic.
It's still kind of want to quickly paint a picture of the scene out there of even the witness that testified against Fox. You know, one of the witnesses that testified against Fox still, after we put George Robinson in cuffs, he still walked over to Fox, got his attention,
and still told him where the suspect was actually looking at it. You know, so this after you said we basically murdered and brutally assaulted your best friend, he still brung Fox to him, say, hey man, you know, I understand why y'all out here. That guy, you know, that y'all looking for, his name did such and such. You know, we had a picture. He like, yeah, he stayed 2 houses down. Even the female witnesses, when I walked up, you know, cause I talk to people when I go out, they was on the porch, talked to her, and she like, you know, I really don't talk to police. But I will tell you, the guy y'all looking for, that's his brother walking up right now. So these people still were cooperating with us. They were still talking to us as this was a normal scene, not yelling, fussing, saying, you know, what y'all do to him for. They didn't ask any question about him. You know, that tell you the condition he was in.
Right.
Even one of them, the other one that testified, even he was asking about, say that his friend was cold, and you know, if it's okay if I come put a jacket on. Like, yeah, you know, it's fine. You know, come put the jacket on. You know, he not an animal. You know, he made a bad decision. Hey, you know, whatever. You know, we don't want to be treated wrongly out here. So,
and just real quick to piggyback off of that. Shortly after that, we went down the same place. Ronnie Arnold told me where the suspect lived. We went down and talked to the suspect's mom. I talked to her. She called him through Facebook. He answered. I told him who I was, and I told him what we was there for, and he was like, Fox, man, I'm on my way. Now, this is the guy who actually confessed to murdering the pastor. Shortly after, he came walking down the street and turned himself in. In the midst of all this, this is an ongoing incident. The same guy who murdered the pastor walked up where it was 7 or 8 SWAT guys in the middle of the road, came in between us, turned around, put his hands behind his back, and gave a full confession at JPD headquarters.
And, you know, that's interesting to bring that. That's what's lost in all this, too, right? There was a serious murder that kind of shook the whole city at that time. I remember when it happened, just, you know, watching the news. And stuff like this impedes the police's ability to do the real stuff, you know, like find out who kills a pastor. And I think, and I've said this, and this is maybe, I'm not trying to jump ahead, but I made this comment to several people when this went down, that I feel like, you know, when you work at the DA's office, JPD is kind of like, that's like in the family, you know what I mean? And just like the Hinds County SO and I guess now Capitol Police, like you don't prosecute your own cops. Right. That's kind of my theory. That was my theory, you know, when we were over there, you know, our office, and you know, you give it to the AG's office, let somebody else look at it. This is not something that if you have any prosecutorial vision would think about impeding because now the police and the JPD and you are at war, and the DA's office and JPD cannot be at war like that because it doesn't function. You can't administer justice that way, and it's a really asinine theory to think that was going to be okay. And I never so this was the beginning, and I remember calls over people saying like, "Wow, what DA's office prosecutes its own cops?" I've just never seen that before.
Well, and that's where the mayor come into play. I believe that. So first we had a meeting once we realized we were indicted. Or not indicted, but it was ruled a homicide, and we got placed on administrative leave with pay. Shortly after, we had a meeting at the mayor's office, and he wanted to know what exactly had taken place. So when we walk in this big office, there 30 people, maybe. It was full. It was a full house.
The full Free the Land family reunion.
Man, half of the people we knew, the other we didn't have a clue who they were.
Was his sister in there?
At that time, right. I don't know. It was some female standing up taking notes at a whiteboard.
Yeah, I mean, it don't matter. She just always inserting herself in city business.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure she was probably somewhere close, but you know. The scene was set like, don't lie to me. I heard what happened. Tell me what happened. And we laid it out. And it was the same now as it was then. And it was basically like, okay, you tell me what happened. You tell me what happened. You tell me what happened. And then we'll try to see, you know, what goes on from here. When he ran out of questions, you had people in his ear, ask him this, ask him that, ask him this. It kind of felt like an interrogation.
Yeah.
You know,
do you feel like you should have an attorney at this point?
Absolutely. So once Robert declined to prosecute the case.
We're talking about former DA Robert Smith.
Right. He declined to prosecute the case. As soon as Jody got in office, it was told to us that he told him, now I want you to look into the case. And they were to be brought in as an investigators to investigate what happened. And like Barney loved to say so much, that wasn't even a report done by them. When you do investigations, there has to be a paper trail behind it. So if I interview these people, I need to see, I need to do a report.
We were never at once listed as actual suspects.
No.
Like it's not one document where we're listed as a report where we're listed as a suspect for murder. It's not one report done saying that we're actually suspect for murder. We go from the arresting officers to charge with murder.
Right.
So Jody's office had the same information that Robert's office had.
Yes.
There's nothing that changed in the interim time from there.
No.
Okay. And I know I heard you say that on Teresa's podcast about the DA's office can investigate. And my first thought process was, the DA's office doesn't really have investigative capabilities.
Exactly.
And I love I had an investigator assigned to me, Eddie Robinson, great guy. And there's Kenny Lewis is a very good friend of mine. They all did a good job, but their role wasn't so much investigative as it was we'd go out and we'd serve witnesses and talk to them. That was pretty much what you have in your budget to do with the DA's office. You don't have cops that are investigating as part of that team. So if he said he's investigating, that's a crock. That's not what's going on in the DA's office.
And that's where the problem come in most at, because MBI denied to do the investigation because they were trying to release our name. So at this point, obviously when an officer be involved in any kind of incident, you had to have an outside agency do the investigation. Sure. So since MBI denied to do it, they went to the Hinds County DA system, and they was prior to the prosecution part of it. Yep. They were just acting as the outside investigator to investigate it as an outside investigator.
Wow,
because
that's crazy.
Yeah. So this never comes out. It's almost like they're trying to get off the blame. Like, you can't blame us because we were only acting as a prosecutor. But no, you wasn't acting as a prosecutor. You were acting as an outside investigator. It's the same as say if us JPD go and arrest somebody without evidence, book them in, charge them with everything, we're gonna be held liable for that.
Sure.
That's what they did. They didn't do a proper investigating, and because
they can't. I mean, they don't have that. They're not set up for that.
And they shouldn't.
Right?
They shouldn't have took that role. They accepted that role to be the outside investigator, and then put the blame on everybody else as if we just took this information and we had that wasn't your job to do.
Jody himself accepted that, like he was.
Well, it was who was the name? The first guy, DA
Robert Smith.
Yeah, it was put off on them to do it. But Jody still. You still got to do it.
Right.
That's your job. MBI can't say, hey, we don't want to do it now. Just let somebody else do it.
So MBI saying they don't want to do it, would that not have been the red flag that said
that is kind of strange, because generally MBI would, but I know there was a problem around that time, if I remember correctly, where MBI was like, because of Chokwe, I remember not going to do officer-involved homicides in the city, if I remember that. There was a big issue, because that's what they do. That's what MBI generally steps in when it comes in those situations. But there was a conflict they were having with the mayor's office of that, and I don't remember specifically. I'm assuming that it was something that he was acting like how he acts.
They were releasing officers'
That
names.
was it, yes.
And
That's
MBI...
right. That was a big thing he was willing to do, was release officers' names.
And MBI wasn't going for that. They was like, that's not in our policy procedures. We're not releasing anybody's name until we know they're guilty of something.
And now this is really even more interesting now that we kind of bring that out, because you're right. Now I remember that was the reason. It was an officer name issue. So if you don't have MBI investigating officer-involved homicides, the DA's office cannot do that. I can tell this 100%, working there for a very long time, no ability to investigate anything, right? And it's not their fault. They're just not, it's not set up that way.
Right.
So who does it? Who does it properly?
Well, we saw the writing on the wall, and yeah, they do now. But when this happened, we saw the writing on the wall, and we personally went in deputy chief office and said, we want the FBI to look into this.
That's what I would have requested. Yeah.
Yeah, because we see the players that's involved now.
It's set up.
You see the defense, not the defense attorney, but the attorney for the family. You see what's going on with the DA. You see what's going on the mayor. And so we the only people that can do this and do it the right way, where we know we'll get a fair shake at everything that took place, is to involve the FBI.
Now there's
I agree with that.
Where in the timeline? And if you can't answer this, I understand. If you can't just give a definitive yes or no, I understand. Where in the timeline were you guys scoping out a dope house that you feel like Chokwe was? You may catch Chokwe moving in and out of, and then these indictments come. I mean, that's part of this story, right? Like you guys were scoping out. There's maybe a dope house y'all were keeping an eye on, and there was some word that maybe Chokwe was moving in and out of this thing, or involved somehow or another. And it was pretty much after that y'all were kind of pulled off that. and said, leave this one alone or something to that extent?
Yeah.
I think
Is
the
that-
way that information was given out, though, you can't put it out because how it was given.
Yeah, it was given by
The tip.
Crime Stopper tip.
That's what it was, a Crime Stopper tip. I said, I'd heard there was a Crime Stopper tip.
And
You know-
we kind of began to look at it and got snatched off pretty quick.
Does that not seem weird?
Yeah.
You know, I was like, no.
Yeah,
no.
yeah. And people make accusations all the time, and
Sure.
and that's where our investigation skills come into play, whether to rule you in or to rule you out.
Sure.
And we didn't get that opportunity.
And it was good information on it, but just to keep the integrity of Crime Stopper tip,
Yeah.
we just don't want to go so much into detail in that because you don't want to hinder people from
Sure.
going back and forth with that because we still want people off the street.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
But it was
absolutely.
good information on that. No information from us, no information from him, no information from somebody we knew, but it was given to us from that source. Yeah.
I'd heard, from other people that whatever that tip was supposed to be a very credible tip.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to paint the picture for everybody to understand, well, why would the mayor want to set these guys up? Why would Jody want to set these guys up? Well, if you, the streets is talking, as they say, and when the streets is talking, the streets have been talking for a long time that the mayor is involved with these dope boys. Yeah. Maybe he ain't running dope. That may be a bit of a stretch, but maybe he's running protection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At minimum. I think he's running dope and everything. I was just say that's what Clay Edwards thinks. I can't confirm that, but I just, if I had to go push it all on black, I'd bet it all on black that he's running dope or involved with it. But again, just my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to paint the picture of why would they want to make these guys go away. You got your top drug guys in Jackson. Yeah. Everybody knows has got a story about dope boys getting pulled over and calling the mayor and a supervisor showing up and telling him to let the guy go.
Heck, Tenari Moore, though, subject of the Marshawn Chrysler and Torrance Mayfield, cases recently. The mayor called Michael Guest for a bond on his behalf. That's public knowledge.
We never talked about that, have we?
No, I don't know that we have talked about it. But most people know it. That happened. Yeah, the mayor called Michael Guest.
On like a Sunday or a Saturday.
Yeah, like on a Sunday. And I think this was obviously when Guest was still DA, so like 5-6 years ago, whatever it was. But he called him. So I don't know. Maybe everybody didn't know that when I'm breaking that on the radio, but that actually happened.
The mayor calling the DA of Rankin County asking for a bond for a known drug dealer.
Yeah.
Who, as a matter of fact, just ended up being the CI who sent not one but two people in Jacktown, two former law enforcement officers, whatever you want to call
Torrance and Marshawn. He's the FBI's guy. Tenari is. Yeah. So and the mayor of Jackson's calling him for a bond, calling him to get DA. Why is he doing that? Yeah. That's So
I'm trying to paint a picture. Why would the mayor want two of the best cops for people who just don't see past the top level?
It was a setup.
I'm trying to explain to y'all like this was not an accident.
No,
they took this opportunity for multiple things. You get the two or three of your best cops off the streets. Yep. Without having to fire them or anything, this eliminates all that if you find them guilty.
That's right.
I don't think it's y'all's PERS, but it just goes through the whole process because it ain't easy to fire a civil servant.
Right.
So you get rid of these guys, the whole kabang.
Discredit them.
Them. Everything. And then you also get your Jacktown George Floyd. You got to think about the timeline here. Black guy got killed by the cops. It's the paint, but they're trying to paint. Chokwe, a do-nothing mayor. But, man, race plays a big part in his politics.
It does.
And, if that's your politics, well, that's a trump card, so to say, in that timeline. Oh no, we're going to arrest these. You ain't killing a black man in Jackson, Mississippi, and nor should you.
Right.
Under any circumstances, unless your life is in danger. But they're going to make an example. They're going to get that street cred, so to say. They're going to keep the dope boys safe, and they're going to get it was three things: dope boys safe, you out of the way, and you get all the national media for the Jacktown George Floyd. And in the same timeline, July of 2020, they were ranting and raving about getting that statue, the Andrew Jackson statue, gone, which is still there, by the way.
Right.
Well, and always what interested me about this. So we all knew. I think we're all in the assumption the mayor was possibly corrupt, and I don't think that was like a secret with anybody. Yeah, I always wondered how he roped Jody Owens, or how Jody, because Jody comes from a pretty good family from all accounts. And he wasn't he didn't grow up in those neighborhoods like my boss Robert did. Robert knew all those guys.
They're cool.
Hold that.
That's I just always wondered how that dynamic happened.
Hold that thought, and I'll tell you, absolute power corrupts absolutely. We'll be right back here on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on 103.9 FM WYA. B, man, we got a big show going this morning. We got a little bit of time left to get in a whole lot of story. Just shout out real quick, Lakeland Glass and Tint, longtime sponsor. Check them out online, lakelandglassandtint.com, to get a free quote on all your window tinting and window replacement needs. Don't forget, they also handle ceramic coating, vehicle wraps, and more. Check them out, lakelandglassandtint.com. All right.
Roman, that when we were talking in the break about Desmond, about the you'd actually spoken to Jody Owens about what your proposed testimony would be during Anthony's trial, right? Mm-hmm. And what was your testimony is basically everything that we just discussed. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But mine just was from a different angle, what I saw, and you know, just a different angle. So we my attorneys advised me that Jody had wanted to speak with us prior to us getting charged.
Did you go speak with him?
Yes, I did go speak with him.
What was the context of that conversation?
He just asked me to tell him what happened. Basically, explain to me the charges that I could possibly get at the time. He said, obviously you can be facing up to 40 years, for, if you're found guilty. He explained it to me. Hey, I like what, but I'm telling the truth. So that's not what I'm worried about. He like, well, you had so many juries go to the grand jury, and he was basically saying that it got true bill, but he didn't say it. He like, so you have so many jurors in this grand jury, and they decided one thing, so it could be the same thing in this. You just never know. So I still went on and told him, the story of what happened, basically the same thing Fox was saying, but at a different angle. Some of it was different, some of it was the same. Yeah. But so after I told him my story, he like, yeah, I do get your story. It sounds good, and I understand, y'all relationship, but it'd sound better if he hit his head coming out of the car, or if he hit his head hitting the ground. He's like, or to be honest, if you just say you didn't say anything, if you say you didn't see anything and you didn't observe anything what happened, then you really won't have to worry about this because you won't be involved in it anymore. So obviously I, told him, we're just gonna still go with the process that we're going with and just get the indictment ready. And
so you had not been indicted yet?
No, never been indicted or charged.
So prior to indictment, the district attorney told you if you say you didn't see anything, you'd walk.
Yes.
And they really wanted Anthony for some reason. Well, I don't know what that reason is, but they wanted him specifically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he was going to let you walk as long as you basically you telling you to lie.
Yes.
I mean, that's what he's telling you to do.
Yes.
Okay.
That's out of Jody's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if the bar should be listening, that's the attorney cannot instruct a witness to lie. I think that's pretty commonplace. Anybody, you don't have to be a lawyer to know that, right? That I've seen a lot of things, but that's pretty unbelievable. I mean, I believe you. I'm just saying that's unbelievable. Like to do something like that.
And to add on to that, the blatancy of this DA, we all were called into the office to speak with him, and he told every last one of us, me in front of my attorneys, Barney in front of the attorneys, Lincoln in front of the attorneys. He specifically said that I've spoken with all of these witnesses, and I know that ain't none of them credible. He said, I know that none of them are credible. And my question at that point was, what are we doing here then?
Yeah.
Well, we got a complaint, and we got to follow up on the complaint.
No, you don't. You can take it and no bill it. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, I've done it a million times.
That's right.
Especially and we'd have actually a stack of the officer involved shootings, and like all of them would already like be pre-marked no bill because most of the time, I mean, let's just be honest, they're justified.
And this ain't even an officer involved shooting. Yeah, this is again, it's so important to paint the picture here. This was a slight little scuffle, if you even want to call it that. The guy ends up with an abrasion here. There's 2 or 3 little abrasions, not even cuts, road rash, skin marks from whatever. And 3 hours later, after he has swallowed however much cocaine that he swallowed during this tussle, has a stroke that was not caused by, according to the multiple medical witnesses, was not caused by these guys. But to sit here and suggest from this DA and this administration that somehow you guys were responsible on any level for this guy dying. Yeah. I mean, it's about the equivalent of saying a car passes by me at an intersection, and the next intersection they get in a wreck and die. but somehow I caused that wreck back here at this other intersection.
Right.
That's asinine.
Right.
And this is as asinine as that is.
Absolutely.
No, another one. I know we have like about 20 minutes or so less, but before I did want to get to this. With all that we've been talking about the medical testimony, and there's 3 witnesses, two that y'all called, and one that Dr. Levon. So you're okay. That all disputed the witness accounts.
Yes.
That all disputed that. How did the jury disregard all of that? That's an amazing thing to me. Like they just
they had some weird instructions, right?
Yeah, the jury instructions were awful. Certain jury instructions were not allowed to, like the accident misfortune jury instruction was denied, and Meredith Coxwell told me from the beginning when he got a hold to this case, he said that just off of the jury instructions alone, this case is going to be overturned.
Yeah.
But not only that, I seriously believe that jury was tampered with.
Well,
that's my personal opinion, but I believe that. I believe stuff went on in that jury room.
Well, if there was ever anywhere for it to happen, never underestimate the ability of a Hinds County jury to screw something up to no end.
Well, I mean, you got to get 12 people to agree to something, and it just seems to me like the state's got to prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. Mm-hmm. You've got 3 medical experts that are saying this couldn't have happened,
including the state's
witness. The state's witness. And how's that not reasonable doubt? Like, and I don't know how there wasn't one person that said, "Wait a second here, there's 3."
Well,
that's what's kind of shocking to me.
The mood that was set when the jurors came back into the courtroom, you can tell that a couple of them had physically been crying.
Yeah.
Eyes watery. We heard that one even passed out back there. They did not want to do it, but I heard that they said either y'all gonna come to a guilty or not guilty, or y'all not leaving this building. And then you had one juror that stood up in the middle of trial. She stood up and said, "I no longer feel comfortable with being in this jury. I want off." And the judge said no. And one of my attorneys immediately asked for a mistrial.
Yeah, that seems
she
like
said denied.
She said that's not going to happen.
So the juror asked to be excused from the jury
Yes.
in the middle of court, in the middle of the
She
trial.
She stood up.
Well,
we were never given, even when the jurors had questions about the charges, the different charges, we were never given any information where the jury went back to the judge. Obviously, you being working there, my understanding is that if they have questions to the judge, then we supposed to also, be aware of those questions.
Yeah, generally when you're talking about when the jury was deliberating.
Yes, in deliberation.
This is quite common. They'll send out a question, and it's very hard to answer that question because the law says once they've been submitted the instructions, that's all they get. Okay. And usually the response that you would give is like, please reread your instructions, continue your deliberations. But to your point, that question is made. There's a copy that's made for both sides to have for the record. So you have to get a copy of that.
So
question.
We never got a copy.
You never got the questions?
Never got a copy of any question they had in there. Even when you got information that a jury had even fainted, you got question that someone wanted to charge with murder. Someone was saying, "Hey, that that don't even make sense."
Right.
It's not whatever.
It seems that what was going in terms of people fainting, especially the issue you're talking about, the juror wanting to be excused. I don't know how that isn't a mistrial. At least did they call the juror in to question her individually or why she wanted to be? They did not do that.
Well, they did. She had her state her reasoning right then in front of the rest of the jurors.
And she said in front of everybody.
Yes, she stood in front of everybody and said it. And that's what one of my attorneys was saying was like, I feel like the rest of the jurors are tainted at this point.
That's kind of a problem. I've never seen that before. As many as I've done, all
right, hold that thought. We're going to take our break. Online audience, stay in. We're gonna talk through the break. Radio audience, we'll pick back up. Let you know if you miss anything relevant. Don't turn the dial. Rip the knob off. So much stuff coming out that we didn't know this morning with Anthony Fox, Desmond Barney, Shaun Yurtkuran, and myself. We'll be right back. 4 minutes. Don't go anywhere. All right, mics are still hot, so continue.
Mr. Shaun,
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
You're a courtroom guy.
Yeah. Been through enough of them.
So
right?
off the mic here, we got Anthony's brother asking Shaun a question.
So, is it common for a judge to change your charge in the middle of trial?
It's not common. It can happen, though.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if he was charged with second-degree murder.
Did she reduce it?
And she changed it to culpable negligence.
She can do that.
that's
I've had
what
that
the
happen
jury
before.
Tell people what he asked when you get.
Yeah, what he's asking is like if someone is indicted for a second degree murder, which is essentially depraved heart murder, once the state's evidence is in, the defense will ask for what's called a directed verdict at that point, and the judge can either dismiss the case, which they rarely ever do, or they can reduce the charge, which they rarely do too, but they can. I've had it happen to me before. So they reduced it to culpable negligence manslaughter. So the jury never got depraved heart murder as an option. Or second-degree murder is an option?
Yeah, it was second-degree murder or culpable negligence manslaughter.
Okay, so they were, and then so they compromised on culpable negligence manslaughter. Right. Yeah, she can do that, though, if she wants to.
By me being in the courtroom to find him guilty of culpable negligence.
So she was working her way down, trying to get a guilty verdict.
Right.
I was sitting right there.
Yeah, I mean, usually what it says is like if you don't find him guilty of second degree murder, you continue deliberations to culpable negligence manslaughter. If you don't find him guilty, then not guilty. There's like a 3-step process on it. Right?
Well, another important part of all this that we hadn't got to is y'all. They said imagine a dream plea.
It's coming? Yeah.
It worked. Let's save that for radio. It's too big to just give the online audience.
Okay.
But man, there's so much going on. We ain't mentioned the judge. I'm gonna say her name. Crooked. Well, we're off the radio. I can say this. That bitch, Adrian Wooten. That bitch, Adrian Wooten.
I don't want to say this on, but I gotta. Anyway.
Yeah. I speak for myself. I don't speak for anybody else in here.
20 years ago.
God,
But away from that.
Man, it's so much. I mean, it's so much.
Because even two of the people that testified in mine were actually the people that did the surgery on this guy. I had the guy that actually did the craniology surgery on this guy. He said that there's
no Russell or whatever was it?
No. Zazar or something. He's not gonna be in Fox, but he's in mine. He actually testified like there's no way that you could have put this on these officers. This is all spontaneous. He's like, I do 1,000 of these a year.
Why didn't you guys didn't call him as a witness?
I think we called him. No, I think we had him listed, but they had so many others that they didn't call him.
Yeah, but this is the only guy. This is the last medical person I seen him alive. Yeah. The last person that laid hands on him that seen him alive is a medical expert.
How long from he got to the hospital to when he died? Was he not basically DOA? How long?
3 days.
3 days.
3 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they pulled the plug on him. They didn't. He just didn't die.
And another part of this is really unrelated but related simultaneously. And I want to be careful not talk bad about the family or anything like that. But there's a lot of holes that need to be. We'll just say that this ain't this innocent.
I'm gonna tell you
because they got the Dexter Wade's her son, the sister of George Robinson, who magically appears out of nowhere to grieve her dead brother. Which I won't tell people how to grieve. It is what it is. Oh, then magically her other son or her son gets ran over by an off-duty cop.
Man,
what a coincidence!
Hey.
All right, we're about to come back. It's just that's the part that people keep forgetting about is this was about money too.
Money and politics.
Money and politics.
Money and politics. That's what that is why this happened.
When we come back, we're going to have till 8:54. We're going to have 10 minutes to get whatever we got to get out.
All right.
And I mean, let's I want to hit that. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by our good friends over at Ellis Autoplex. Y'all be sure to check them out online, ellisautoplex.com. Don't forget they buy vehicles, and of course they specialize in four-wheel drive, four-door trucks. They got plenty of them, but they also got cars and SUVs. ellisautoplex.com. We're keeping the ad reads short and sweet this morning. We got too much information. We got to get out in a short amount of time. Anthony Fox,
yes, sir.
While I got you right here, I want to make sure we mention this. The family of George Robinson, the sister, who, to the best of my knowledge, had been out of his life for a long time. But once there potentially, allegedly, some money and a lawsuit to be had in this situation, here comes the grieving sister, who just so happens to also be the mother of Dexter Wade. Make it make sense. I know that she couldn't have plotted and planned. I'm not saying any kind of conspiracy theory or nothing like that. I wouldn't say that. But man, it's mighty convenient to have been to be able to potentially hit 2 lawsuit jackpots in the same time frame against the same police department with the same attorneys and all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just so much going on here. And man, I loved just my little little cherry on top of the cake. I love that when you got released and everything got overturned, the guy all gets thrown out. That somehow or another they only ended up with like a $7,000 or $17,000 settlement or something or another.
I saw that that the Judge Peterson wouldn't let him out of that either, right?
Yeah, I think that's
but back to the karma.
Yeah,
back to the karma. But look, where did y'all leave off at? Where did I cut you off at?
We were where were we at that point? We were talking about Jody Owens and
Jody telling Desmond to lie,
right.
basically.
Yeah, that's right about the to change his testimony or change his proposed testimony.
Let's move to, because we're limited time here. Let's get to the splitting y'all's trials up, splitting y'all up, and the plea bargains that you got offered. I mean, talk about having confidence in yourself and knowing you're innocent.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you turned down the opportunity to not even have to go to jail.
Right. So, the way, the way our cases were severed, it shouldn't have never happened. Number one, the state stood up and asked my judge to consolidate the cases, and before he could say consolidate, denied. So it was I believe it was already pre-planned that we were going to be separated and to get two bites at the apple, so to say.
And we were indicted together.
And we were indicted. Our indictments read identical. The only thing that was changed on them was our names. We wanted to go to trial together. She would not let us. She said denied before the state could even propose it. AMR.
Well, before that, even then, the judge, in my case, even advised that not in trial, but one of the hearings, that she did ask the trial, that even the other judge asked for this trial to be consolidated, and she advised that the other judge denied it. So that was just you had a judge that asked to be consolidated too, and she still denied it. But AMR, I think that's real. Just like as I was given the opportunity to not testify or not see anything, and my indictments or charges would be gone. AMR was also threatening indictments. Mm-hmm. They was threatening to be indicted if they didn't change their stories.
This is bombshell stuff here.
Yeah.
So AMR, when they're threatening witnesses.
Oh, yeah. So what you finna say?
No, I was going to say I was just off the not letting Anthony's case go to Judge Peterson. Mm-hmm. Just for the audience, there's no reason for that not to have happened. Yep. Right. It's a circuit court judge's discretion, and it happens, by the way, routinely. Every day I go to court, I'll have a co-defendant, and they're like, "Oh, it's in Judge Kidd's courtroom." Oh, Judge Kidd just sends the case over to Judge Peterson. Yeah. Right. And the proper way of indicting people is to put them all in one indictment. Yeah. For some reason, this office doesn't do that. What they do is put them in individual indictments, which creates a logistical nightmare in the courthouse in terms of defendants in every courtroom. So just so everyone understands, like, she should have just sent it to Judge Peterson. Mm-hmm. It would have been no big deal for that to happen. Yep. Yeah, it's really nothing for that to happen.
But is it safe to assume? I mean, look, this is allegedly, because I don't want to get sued here. But the Sweet represented the family of Robinson, right? Mm-hmm. Sweet also has quite the relationship with Wooten. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at 30,000 foot up, and you don't know any of these, and you just see this information, you say, well, it seems pretty obvious that they want to. They want to win a lawsuit. Mm-hmm. They want to win a lawsuit. We know Peterson ain't going to do it.
That's right.
We know Peterson ain't going. We're not going to get it on Desmond and them. Mm-hmm. But we got this other one over here. Yep. We're going to win this lawsuit. Yep. Hey, wink, wink. Wooten, do a brother a favor. Don't forget, what I've done for you. Yeah, and I mean, that's all about money. Get their mic.
He said it out of his own mouth. Dennis said it out of his own mouth. Oh, we're going to win this. We're going to win this one. We're going to win this one.
I mean, so if you're just looking at it, unbiased, take all the race, take all the politics, take all that out of it. It's take the George Floyd stuff out, all that. They said this is money.
It's money. I mean, it's about money and politics.
A very well connected defense attorney, or whatever you want to call him, defense attorney, lawsuit attorney, representing this family, they're suing the city, and
suing AMR,
hoping they're going to get this big payday. But you got to have that guilty plea to get that big payday. Mm. And I don't know how this works, but let's just assume that they had got it, they got paid, the whole 9 yards. Then your stuff gets overturned. Mm-hmm. They don't have to get that money back, do they?
That's right. No, that's done.
They were trying to wait long enough. If they could just keep you held up long enough, they could have got their payday
That's right.
and gone.
That's right.
But thankfully to
Lynn Fitch,
and,
oh my God,
and
hats
everybody,
off. Hats off.
And I know other people have mentioned this. I want to make sure we mention this because we're running out of time. Shout out to Randy Tucker, for taking care of you and making the best of a bad situation. I mean, you're still in jail, still somewhere you don't want to be. But
he should be reelected forever just for doing that.
Jail was jail, I'm telling you.
I mean,
but I want to piggyback off of something real quick. I know we're running out of time, but when I speak towards the political part of it, right? My trial was pushed back. Coincidentally, when the judge's race came about, 2 weeks later, my trial starts. I heard
2022. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. I hear stories about after my conviction, people were, running around parading in Washington D.C. area that had no business out there. Holding up the signs,
they threw a party.
Yeah. Like what? Who does that? And to get to the plea agreement, I told my attorneys from the very beginning, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not taking a plea deal for nothing. So the state came to me, to my attorneys, and said, "How about second-degree murder? I can guarantee no jail time." Now, to somebody who just supposedly brutally beat somebody, you gonna give me no jail time?
Yeah.
That was the first plea. I told my attorney, you can tell them to pound sand. All right. The second plea was, well, how about culpable negligent manslaughter? I can guarantee no jail time. I said, I'm not doing it. Well, let's try aggravated assault. Let's do aggravated assault. I can guarantee no jail time. No.
But it still meant losing your job, being a felon.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Your reputation, all that.
But you definitely were right, because I might have taken it and been like, aggravated assault, no jail time. I don't know.
That's not the end of it. After I got done testifying, Barney got done testifying, we didn't make it back to the lawyer's office soon enough before Guthrie, or whoever it was, called my attorney and said, "Hey, man, what about a dream plea? Just come up with a dream plea. I can guarantee no jail time with a dream plea." I told him, ain't no way.
Let's take a break. That's y'all's bombshell. People were messing with me in the comments that I promised a bombshell. There's your bombshell right there. We're going to stay tuned with us online. Radio don't go nowhere. We're going to come back, land the plane for the day. What a monster show. Vindication, my brothers. Vindication. We'll be right back.
Oh, yeah, and they tried. That's a good point, too, man. They tried to change the wording of the indictment up mid-stride. She allowed one word to be changed, but they tried to change the whole substance of the indictment.
Mr. Shaun,
They took body slam out of it or something like that.
Yeah, they took body slam, head first.
Took body out of the body slam.
I got another question.
Yeah.
It's more of a conflict of interest question. So after the trial was wrapping up, I guess, or maybe right after the trial,
Right.
Wooten got back in, reelected.
Yeah, that 22 fault, yeah. Oh.
Did you see the picture with her and the girl throwing up the
Yeah, Sharon Spencer.
Oh, I may have. I don't remember that.
Okay, well, that was the ADA. That was the prosecutor against him.
Yeah.
So
Who was the prosecutor?
Sharon Spencer.
Oh, man, that
Sharon
is
Spencer.
above the mics off.
Hey,
Yeah.
Sharon Spencer.
Mics are on.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Sharon Spencer and Wooten are sorority sisters. And
After he got convicted, she went out to where the incident happened
Yeah.
and did a campaign on
the same street.
The same property. The
Yeah.
property where they said we assaulted him at. She went to that same property.
holding up
Did a
woo-woo
campaign.
signs.
To answer your question, Clay, Dennis Sweet and Jody Owens is uncle and nephew by marriage.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody just asked in the comments to mention the Jody and Dennis Sweet connection.
By marriage. By marriage.
By marriage, yeah.
Because Dennis's sister reached out to me and asked me to stop referring to Jody as their nephew.
Yeah. Yes, she did.
They asked me to.
However,
Yeah.
Chokwe and Dennis Sweet's son
man.
been best friends since high school.
Yeah.
You know
And that's
what I'm
where
saying?
that connection come into
So-
play.
Yeah.
Now you're looking at Dennis Sweet that endorsed Adrian Wooten for that, so now it's favor for favor.
I gotcha.
On top of this sorority sister, who just so happens to be one of the prosecutors in this case.
So it was. So I didn't know it was Sharon Spencer.
You know, I always thought that Plies had that song about co-defendants, and there's a line in there where he talks about white DAs and white attorneys. Like, we'll swap you him for him, and we'll swap you him for him. That's what happened here.
That's what happened.
That's what happened here in Jackson.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that. So Sharon Spencer actually was the one who prosecuted you.
Yes.
Who else was trying that with her?
It was Guthrie.
Kurt Guthrie.
Yeah, and I argue.
Gwen. Yeah.
Hey, so yeah, I think we still on the radio. but Kurt Guthrie, I have zero respect for that man, and I'm gonna tell you why. And I hope we are still alive, right?
We're alive.
Okay, good. I got zero respect for Kurt Guthrie simply because during their trial, one of my attorneys saw him outside of the courtroom, and they were talking, and I stopped him mid-stride, and I said, Mr. Guthrie, man, I just want you to know that you are dealing with 3 innocent officers. He said, he looked me right in my eyes, and he said, that might be the case. He said, but I'm just a pawn. I do what I'm told to do.
Yeah.
I mean, blatantly. I'm just a pawn. I do what I'm told to do. And at that point, I'm like,
Fred Shanks is going to endorse a bill or draft a bill that will. We had him on Friday. My state rep in Brandon, one of my best friends. You've met Fred.
oh, yeah. Great guy.
He is going to endorse a bill that if a elected official is accused or charged with a felony, that they have to step down
Immediately.
Yeah, well, temporarily with pay or without. But if they get found guilty, they have to pay the money back that they're paid because there's no reason on a cold day in hell that Jody Owens should be the sitting DA, knowing everything we know, knowing what he did to y'all, and then him basically admitting that he's for hire. Yeah. He's coin operated. Yeah. This is mind-boggling to me. I'm speechless. I really am.
Right.
Like 2 minutes.
We're gonna have about a minute when we come. Oh, we're back.
Don't get it.
Welcome back in, guys. We got a minute. Desmond, you were asking how much time. If you can wrap it up in a minute, brother, you can take us home. You got it, Mike.
Man, I don't even know where to start. I do want to get out the medical part of it. Just for the viewers on here about the the last medical person that actually was to see George Robinson alive did testify that this couldn't have happened what the witness accused him of. So only witness that you ever had that actually accused us of something, which their testimonies didn't even go together, because one of them said he was never struck. He never saw him struck. He saw him through a car. He saw him pull us out the car. And the other one say that he was struck by several individuals. Like the two witnesses that actually did testify, their two statements didn't go together, and the only the medical experts obviously went totally against what they were saying. And like I said, the actual last person to see him alive, who did the surgery on him, who looked inside his brain, not necessarily just looked at him, but was able to get inside his brain and actually do surgery on him, stated on the stand, to us and to the prosecutors that this could not have happened from what he observed as a medical expert.
All right, guys, we're out of time. Thank y'all so much. Online audience, we'll stay with y'all an extra minute. Radio audience, thank you all so much. We're going to do this again. Peace out.
It go by fast, bro. It go by fast. It's so much.
It does. Guys, online audience, thank y'all so much. Everybody, thank y'all for being a part of this today. I'm going to try to run this back in an environment where we don't have the commercial breaks to contend with, and we can just go for as long as we need to, because it's just too much. It's too much to unpack in 2 hours or hour and a half without commercials. So, Shaun, great job today. Thank you. Anthony, Desmond, thank y'all so much for taking the time out to come and do this. Online audience, thank y'all. Sorry we didn't get a chance to get to everything, but we didn't even get a chance to talk about the acquittal and everything else. I mean, but he's here. He's here, so it happened. He's all right, man. Thank y'all. Peace out.
And eventually, I want to say something more too, because I know our families have so much to say. Our families.
Yeah, we're good.
Go play. When you ready to keep it real, put me on the mic.
Yeah, whenever you want. I still got all that video where I interviewed you and your dad. Me and Therese did up there at the jail.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 'Cause I know they got a kind of.
Yeah.